This gentleman's from my neck of the woods, where my dad's family from, around Monticello, Arkansas. We have lots of police officers on here that are from big areas like LA and New York and those big jurisdictions. And we've got somebody here who has a little bit more, I guess we could call rural, is what
Oh
would be the
yeah,
best way to put that.
Yeah, well,
absolutely.
before you actually even introduce the guest by his name, just last night I was looking at something that was put out. I don't know if it was one of the news agencies or something, but it was talking about the 10 states in the US where people shower the least. And I'm
Okay.
just going to put this out there. I'm going to just say it. Oklahoma was not on that list. Arkansas was. And I'm dead ass serious. It was. It was on that list. So just saying that, just saying.
Fake news, man.
Take it for what it is.
That's just fake news.
Take it for what it is.
Didn't have it like, hey, who else was on the list? I want it. Mississippi was on the list.
Kentucky, New York. I think West Virginia was number one, if I remember correctly. But it was a lot of southern states.
We just don't like the baths.
I guess. I don't know. It's
We
pretty
just
humid
naturally
there
smell
anyways.
good.
There you go.
Well, we got Brent Reaves on today. He is he's going to be our guest. He actually lives in Cabot now, Cabot, Arkansas. Are you familiar with Cabot,
I
Arkansas?
am not familiar with Cabot, Arkansas. I don't know if anybody listening is familiar with Cabot, Arkansas.
It's right out. Cabot is right outside of a big city in Arkansas called Little Rock.
Oh, I am aware of Little Rock.
Yeah, so
Little Rock's the capital of Arkansas.
Man, you are good at geography.
I did pay attention most of the time in school.
I thought the only place you knew in Arkansas was Fayetteville.
I know of Fayetteville. I know what Siloam Springs.
Siloam Springs. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah.
So doing well so far.
Those happen to be about an hour away from us. That's the only reason
That's
you know
true.
about that.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Reaves, welcome to
Yeah,
our
man.
show.
Oh, thank you.
During your time on the drug task force, what'd you get into?
Oh man, I tell you that would have been the early 2000s, and methamphetamine was the hot ticket. You know, everybody was a meth cook, and
Let's say those one pots everywhere.
oh yeah, man, and it was we were averaging at one time, about 3 labs a week, and for a short stint, and for the long period, a year or so, we were doing 3 or 4 a month, and it's the craziest thing I ever was ever involved in. There was everybody was a cook. Everybody, the internet was new. You could get everything off the internet, everything you needed. You could go to Walmart and you could buy everything you needed to cook meth in Walmart. And before you had to sign for sinus medicine and all of that, it was wild, man. It was absolutely buck wild down there.
Well, how'd you find those? So this area that for our listeners out there, this area is a bunch of if you've ever used paper in your life, it's probably come from this area. There are pine trees everywhere. It's
Mm-hmm.
Georgia Pacific is the big place down there. If you haven't had the privilege of smelling a paper mill, you haven't lived, you know.
Or a meth lab.
Oh, a paper
Yeah.
mill makes a meth lab smell delicious, and I don't even know what a meth lab smells like. But there are a few people and many trees out there. How in the hell did you find these meth labs?
Man, it's just like you find anything else, loose lips sink ships, and folks get to talking, and they get to, we ran a big circuit of informants. We got a lot of the local municipalities helped us, man, because they're stopping folks on traffic stops, and they get a pocket full of weed, and folks know that they'll trade weed for meth any day, so they just work it up the chain, and we'll get a call from a deputy saying, hey, we got a guy stopped down here, and he's either going to jail or he's going to talk, one or the other. So it's like you talked earlier, Ryan, about getting up and going on Saturday when you was fixing to take the kids on a pony ride. You got to load up and roll out and talk to some yahoo down on the side of the highway somewhere that wants to trade information for jail time. And you was talking about smelling a meth lab. It reminded me of a deal a little story I can tell you if you want to hear one.
Absolutely.
We were invited up into a county that we didn't normally work, but the task force that worked that area up there was just absolutely overloaded with work. And this sheriff was on the edge of the county. It actually bordered our district, and he called me, and the task force folks called me too and said, "Hey man, if you can help this guy out, help. We absolutely don't have anybody to spare." So the sheriff calls and says, "Look, I've got some reliable information. These folks are going to make a big cook. It's going to be at this location. It's going to be within the next 2 days, next 3 days, I think he said." And it was actually a perfect storm. We had just finished a couple big cases up. We didn't have anything going, and so we jumped on it. So it was all of us and 2 state agents went up there, and we laid on this place for about a day and a half, waiting on the. We built us some hides out in the woods, and they were supposed to come to this gravel pit and do their cook. And after like hour 36 or whatever, when everybody there would have made the didn't take a shower list, Ryan, we they finally show up on doper time, like you called it. So they roll up in there, and they've got the components, and we jump them, and we get them all arrested and everything. And we've got all the stuff spread out there on the tailgate of the truck. And the sheriff that called us, he shows up. We call him to come in and look at it. We're waiting on the lab disposal folks to come out of Little Rock to come get all that stuff. And the sheriff was up there, and we're showing him, all right, and the sheriff, here's where they stripped the lithium out of the batteries. There's the strips right here. Here's where they had the ephedrine right here, the pseudoephedrine that they've got it in this soak, and in this container right here is one of those. If you remember those little workmate drink igloos, like you carry water in, it's got a big thermos top on it. I said, now in this container right here is anhydrous ammonia. Mm-hmm. Somebody said something, and I turned around to talk to them. When I turned back, the sheriff's got the lid unscrewed off that anhydrous. And I'm saying, "Sheriff, don't." And about the time he stuck his nose over there and took a whiff, and he passed smooth out. Hit the
yep.
he hit the ground. Of course, we had an ambulance on standby, so they come in there, and they're getting the sheriff coming back to, and which it could have been bad, but it wasn't. It didn't. He just overcame, and he passed out. But when he woke up, the first thing he said when his eyes opened up was, "Who kicked me?" he thought somebody kicked him.
Because surely he wouldn't do something so dumb like that.
So, but he when he come to and we told him what happened, he's like, y'all don't say anything about that.
Yeah.
I got an election coming up, so
and now you're on a podcast telling all about it.
Yeah, I didn't say what county it was, so